He has been maligned. He has been slandered. He has been called a heretic. He has been called crazy. He has been called a fed. All of these things. And I don't know, maybe I'm just rooting for the underdog. I decided to bring on today Abuna John, and we're going to hear from his mouth. We're going to give him a chance to defend himself. We're going to hear his story, all about it. And so I'd like to welcome him to my channel. First of all, I'd like to remind everybody to hit the like button, subscribe, share the stream, and welcome Father John to my icon corner.
It's nice to be with you today.
Yeah, how are you doing? How's the day?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good today. Today's a good day.
Okay, so I guess I usually like to, we usually begin with getting a person's background. So, I mean, we can even go a little bit in depth with you. I actually don't know too much about your history. So if you'd like to share with us, your background, how you came to Orthodoxy, growing up and all that, would you like to share?
Yeah, sure. I've been Orthodox my whole life. I grew up in it. My mother's family was Palestinian. My grandfather was born in Bethlehem, and so we were raised in a Palestinian family, pretty much. We spoke Arabic when we were young, and we grew up that way. In my grandfather's house, everybody spoke Arabic. You didn't have a choice. So if you wanted to talk, you spoke Arabic. But anyway, so I grew up in the Orthodox Church, part of St. Nicholas in Los Angeles, and then later St. Luke's in Orange County, which I was there for, I think, about 35 years before I moved up into the mountains. Anyway, so
do you still speak Arabic?
A little bit. If I'm over there, if I'm in the old country, I can speak it pretty well. I have a hard time here because nobody around me speaks Arabic, so.
Right, you almost have to be forced to use it,
Yeah. And the dialects for Arabic are very different too, from, one, short location away to another. The people really speak differently. So,
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you moved up into the mountains? Which mountains were those?
The San Bernardino National Forest. We moved up there and raised our younger 3 kids up in the mountains. We didn't want them going to school down in the city, so we moved up there.
Oh, interesting. So you can just live in it was a national forest, you said?
Yeah, national forest. Yeah, you can live up there if you want to. There's homes up there. You can buy them or rent them. It's a beautiful area above Los Angeles County. It's about 6,000 feet, I'm guessing. It goes up to 8,000 over in the far side over there. And anyway, and it snows and everything. We have seasons up there and stuff like that. But
is that like off the grid living? Is it, or?
Yeah, sort of for a Southern Californian. Yeah. Because it's the road coming down off the hill takes about an hour.
Okay.
So it's a little tough to to traverse that to get all the way down to go to school or anything like that.
Okay, so you're kind of protecting your family from the cultural rot, I guess, or something.
Yeah, we did. We went up there in 2001, and since then we moved back down to Orange County because the kids are all in college now. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and my wife teaches, so we moved back off of the hill. Anyway, so disappointing too, I got to tell you. Being back in the city, it's.
Oh, you don't like it?
Oh no way. It's really, really tough. Anyway, we for the longest period of time before as I was growing up, I was always Orthodox. We went to church every Sunday. When I started working, of course, I couldn't do that all the time because I was traveling a lot. But anyway, and then I worked intelligence for 19 years for the U.S. government, and traveled to a number of different countries and places. Yeah.
Can you say more about that? Like, how did you get into that, and what kind of work what exactly were you doing?
I went to law school. I graduated from law school, and I had worked with law enforcement before, as far as like speaking Arabic and stuff like that, helping people out
Gotcha.
in certain situations, and that sort of got me moving in this other direction. And then because of that, I met some people that ended up asking me to help them with some stuff to do with the government. That's when I was really young, so I was able to do that, and I got hired by a contractor that works with the intelligence agency.
Sure.
All of them. So.
And then you were traveling to areas in the Middle East somewhere, I assume?
Yeah. Ever since the 70s, all the way up to, I think, 2014 was the last time I was there. But so I've traveled to a lot of countries, but I went a lot to the Middle East and did work in the Middle East.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And you probably can't say that's kind of stuff that you can't say too much about.
Yeah. Some things I can't. Honestly, the funny part of this is when you do intelligence, it isn't like it is in the movies. It's not, a James Bond type character that knows all the ins and outs of everything he's doing and why he's doing it. We're told specific things to do and asked to accomplish them, and that's what our job is. A lot of times I have no idea what I was doing.
Okay. I mean, did you have like a specialty, a focus that you were focused on?
Yeah, negotiations.
Negotiations?
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes having to get people out of a bad situation, things like that. It can be anything. It could be having somebody sign some papers from a foreign government,
Okay. Yeah.
like that. So.
Yeah, I have an uncle who works in intelligence, and sometimes he'll travel and meet with, I guess they're field operatives or contacts or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess I know a little bit about that. What do you think? I mean, so you're open about this on your Twitter profile. You say that you're a former intelligence worker, so you don't hide the fact.
No, I can now too, because I haven't worked for them since 1994. So.
All right, so that's like 30 years or whatever.
Yeah. So it's a long time, and then I became a priest after that. So.
Did you?
So I'm not afraid to tell people about my background.
So people will accuse you of being a Fed because of this background. Often on Twitter, it's enough to just make an accusation. You don't actually need any evidence.
Yeah.
Maybe you just don't like someone or whatever. Have you ever responded to those accusations, or what is your defense of that?
Sometimes, it's a funny thing today. Being a so-called spook, a ghost, or an intelligence person, elicits really bad responses from people. Back in the Cold War, it wasn't a bad thing. If you worked for the government in any capacity, you were seen as somebody before the government. And today it's not like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of strange today to get those responses. No, I don't even defend those. I don't talk about them or anything like that.
So you don't even bother. Okay.
Yeah, most of the time,
But it's not true, obviously. Or what do you even deny it?
What's that?
You're not working. Well, I guess you already said you're not working for.
Yeah, I haven't worked for them for years. I still, have connections where I can gather information about certain hot spots that I'm not sure of, like, for different places. I still talk to some of my friends that were also in intelligence.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think later in the interview, we might talk about situation of Christians in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You can bring up some of that and tell us your view on the situation. But you said you then became a priest. So how did that happen? And where were you?
In 1989, I was in an incident, and while I was working in intelligence, and there was a rocket blast past me. So it didn't hit me directly, thank God, but it knocked me out. So I had to recuperate from that, and I had some problems, physical problems after that. So shortly after that, I still worked intelligence, but I didn't travel too much at the time. And then there came a time where I didn't feel like I could keep doing that, plus I was having trouble with my heart too.
Right.
At the same time. So anyway.
So you retired from that work, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I retired from that work, and I felt like I needed to do something that was on the opposite side of the work that I did. And I thought about becoming a priest back in the 80s, but, changed my mind. And so then I later wanted to become a priest after 96. I became after 96. That's when I had my open heart surgery, my first one. So it was right after that.
So what was the process for that? Did you go to a seminary, or did you just?
Yeah, I got a theology degree from my law school, and I was able to talk to my priest of my church.
Okay.
And he helped advise me what to do. I still had some problems physically, so I didn't make the move right away, And I was with the Antiochian church ever since I was born. So I hung out with all those guys and everything. But in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of stuff started coming up about Palestinians and Jordanians not being accepted into the Antiochian church, and they were looked down upon and stuff like that. And I sort of noticed some of that stuff in our church, which bugged me, And that's when I started seeking out these newcomers to the U.S. that were the Jerusalem Patriarchate churches.
Okay.
So I was interested in that. There were I think at the time, 6 churches. And I met with their priests and stuff like that. I liked what they did. They were old calendar. And they did a lot of the rubrics in the church that they've taken out now. The Antiochians and the Greeks have taken out. So.
Okay, full services.
Yeah. So I sort of like that. Going back to that, and I felt sort of comfortable in those churches. So, and my family liked it too.
Okay. So, were you ordained in the Antiochian or into the Jerusalem Patriarch?
Jerusalem Patriarch.
Jerusalem Patriarch.
Yeah. In 1998. Yeah.
98. All right. And what parish did you serve?
St. James Orthodox Church.
Okay. So were they? I wasn't around that far back. I was just too young. I wasn't Orthodox. Were they? Were there any jurisdiction? I remember there was that was a time Rocor was in communion with Jerusalem. Or was there some jurisdictional
There has been off and on. There's always these little skirmishes that seem to go on between the patriarchates, and Antioch got angry with Jerusalem because Jerusalem Patriarch Diodorus decided to put that he would ordain priests, and they could start their own churches in the U.S. So he decided to do that, but it was sort of it's a thing you don't get to do between churches. You have to go to Antioch and ask Antioch permission. Antioch would have turned him down, but you have to ask permission for things like that. You can't stray into another bishop's territory and start doing stuff. So
okay,
there was a fight that ensued between Jerusalem and Antioch and the Greek church too. They didn't like the idea of having a Jerusalem patriarchate here.
Okay.
So they fought back against that. And so the Jerusalem church didn't grow very big. And by the time Theophilus took office, the Jerusalem church in the U.S. had really died out a lot. It wasn't doing really well. And that was because Patriarch Diodorus died in 2000. So
Theodoros. So Theophilus came after Theodoros?
Well, it was Irinaeos, the guy I worked for, the bishop I worked for, and then it was Theophilus.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
All right. I see the succession there. Okay. And you were basically with Jerusalem the whole time as a priest.
Yeah, and I still am. Yeah.
You still are. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to hear a story about Theophilus.
Theophilus. Yeah.
Yes. So did he ordain you?
No. I was ordained by Patriarch Diodorus, and the person that ordained me was Father Timothy. But I was ordained in Jerusalem. So
okay.
Now, and then the Patriarch Diodorus passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. And it took over a year to get a new patriarch, and the new patriarch was Patriarch Irinaeos, and he was not really keen on the Jerusalem churches. He didn't like them. The Jerusalem churches in America. So he wasn't thrilled about that. So he ignored all of us over here for a long time. And then one thing led to another, and he ended up getting removed in 2005. That was Irinaeus was removed in 2005.
That was,
and then within 2 months, Theophilus had replaced him, which is record time for a patriarch. Really record time for a bishop, but not for a patriarch.
so what is the process of making a patriarch? Do the other bishops elect? Isn't that how it works, or how is it?
Yeah, it's very complicated too for Jerusalem, because Jerusalem has many rules. Because it's in Israel, the local bishops choose who they want to become patriarch out of all of them. And sometimes the ecumenical patriarch, like Bartholomew, will have something to say about that. So it could change. This is what takes a long time to put somebody in office.
Okay.
Normally, they never do young bishops. People that hadn't been bishops for very long, they don't make them patriarchs. Sometimes they do. So anyway, the process not only takes that, but then once you choose a bishop to become patriarch, then it has to be approved by the Palestinian Authority, Israel, the government of Israel, and Jordan. All three of those together have to say it's okay that this guy is going to be patriarch.
Wow.
Because there's so much politics with the Middle East,
Okay.
So anyway, it normally takes a long time to make a new patriarch, and patriarchs elected for life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Irinaeos, this is the bishop you're still with, right?
well, he's passed away. He passed away in 2023. Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to keep this all straight. I didn't necessarily like write out a schematic of how this all works. So, but he was the one. Was he the one that got removed forcibly?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Irinaeos was the one that was removed forcibly.
okay. Yeah. Do you mind telling us what is that story? Why was that?
It's really interesting, and it's what part of the reason that his family and other people in the church had asked me to help figure out what was going on and why Patriarch Irinaeos was removed. And that's how I ended up being his secretary for the next 15 years. So what happened was, this is the way this went. And I have thousands of documents to back this up. But what happened was, Patriarch Theophilus was chosen to fill this position. And part of the problem was, and I didn't know this at the time, it took me years to figure this stuff out. At the time, was that they needed a patriarch in there that would be able to move in behalf of the Israeli government. And I didn't know that at the time. Anyway, I can tell you from personal experience, Patriarch Irinaeos wasn't going to do that. So he doesn't, he doesn't pick and choose who he's going to like or who he's not, but you can't tell him what you're going to do.
Sure.
He won't do that.
Yeah. We all know people like that.
Yeah. So he was a pretty tough guy. Most people really didn't like Irinaeos very much. He was really staunch, really tough Greek, and he had his opinions of stuff, the way they were going to do things, and that's what he did. But anyway, to sort of shorten this story up so it can make sense, what happened was there were a group of Greek businessmen that I knew about from talking to different people about what was going on. And some of these Greek businessmen were really powerful people. One was Nicholas Theros, who was the U.S. ambassador to Qatar. And there was George Tenet, who was an ex-CIA chief. So, and they were involved, and they may still be involved in this stuff now. But them, and there was, like I said, a group of other businessmen, Greek businessmen, that were able to push this thing to happen. What they did was they accused Patriarch Irinaeos of selling or leasing out church property to other people. It was 2 hotels that were in the old city. And so they accused him of doing that. And it came about really quickly.
They accused him, or did they induce him to? Did you say they made him do that, or they?
No, he claims he knew what was going on, but it wasn't. He didn't sell anything. There was nothing to be sold. They were just renewing the leases that were on the property, on the 2 properties. Okay. So what happened with that part? I'll separate them out. With the entire thing with him being accused of this is also the reason they removed him.
Right.
Which they actually can't do. As a patriarch, you can't be removed for, even if he sold tons of church property or he stole jewelry or he was, whatever he would do, you couldn't get rid of him unless he blasphemed from the holy pulpit. But okay. Otherwise, a patriarch is elected for life. It's in the canons. You can't replace him. He can't go anywhere for anything but blasphemy, So what they did was they got him accused of that. And the Israeli government did they came into it, and they sent their people out there to see what he'd stolen and what he'd done illegally. They did an investigation. It took them probably 6 or 8 months to do the investigation. And they found nothing that he'd done wrong. And it wasn't even moved over to the attorney's office for the state. So they did nothing to Patriarch Irinaeos. Charges weren't even brought against him. So it was leveled against him by other bishops.
Okay, just an accusation.
Yeah. And then what happened was this all got involved with the police and everything like that. Meanwhile, from the time that the police were investigating him, the synod, the bishops, removed Patriarch Irinaeos from his position. And they did so legally, they claim, but in actuality, they couldn't bring the charges anyway. So they removed him from office. Within 30 days from that date, they'd installed Patriarch Theophilus, who was at the time a young priest, a young bishop. In fact, he'd only been a bishop for a couple of years, and Patriarch Irinaeos made him a bishop. And he was also the bishop assigned to Qatar, the same place where Nicholas Theros, the ambassador, was.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they knew each other. And I have letters back and forth from both of them in Greek and some of them in English, where I have one letter where Theros asks Theophilus if he wants to be patriarch. So, and again, within 30 days, they removed him from office, and then Patriarch Theophilus was in office. And, Irinaeus, who'd been ousted, was yelling about it, telling everybody that they can't do that and stuff. So they locked him in his cell.
Like jail, basically. Like he couldn't get out.
He couldn't get out. And they not only did that, so people couldn't talk to him. They had a guy come in and make iron bars. So I have a photo of his cell, which is in the Jerusalem Patriarchate compound, and it's got a set of bars on it.
Wow. Okay.
But like a really fancy screen door, except it's actually got bars and a hefty lock that padlocks it. He was not allowed to leave to eat. He could not go to liturgy. And that was for more than 10 years. He wasn't allowed to go to liturgy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he had liturgy in his apartment.
Oh, okay.
And so one thing led to another, and and then he passed away in 2023.
But he didn't accept the removal. Did he maintain that he was still the patriarch?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, he did a number of interviews until the Patriarch Theophilus stopped him from doing interviews.
Okay.
And he did a number of interviews and interviewed later with some people that have made documentaries on it. So.
And you you say that you remained loyal to him. So what did that mean?
I did. Because I would go to Israel and I'd try to negotiate with the police department to find out what was going on, and to the federal government, to certain people that were in charge of certain things, because I didn't like him. For one thing, his family felt the same. They didn't want him behind bars. I mean, he's an older gentleman at the time, 2005. I'm guessing he was probably 73, 74. And, it wasn't fair for him to be locked up like that, not to be allowed to walk around. They had no right to really lock him up. He wasn't convicted of anybody. The Israeli government dropped all charges against him. And so there was really nothing there. But and then they reduced him to a monk, his rank to a monk, not to a bishop, to a monk, which they can't do either. So those are strictly against the canons that they did. So I helped his family out and then other people, but I stood with him because technically in my head, I couldn't justify leaving him just because somebody told me that Theophilus is now the bishop. The problem here is that I know that Irinaeos was kicked out illegally. See, I watched it done, right before my eyes. In fact, most of the priests, they all know that, and they've gotten in trouble for it too. A lot of people did not back Theophilus when he got into office. Anyway, so I couldn't justify saying that. Well, I got to follow Theophilus just because I'm not going to do that. Plus, I got to admit I was in trouble because I was trying to defend Irinaeos. They knew I was doing that, and they weren't happy I was doing it.
So did you continue to serve at your parish?
Yeah.
I guess under the blessing of Irinaeos, is that or
Yeah. I was Irinaeos was still alive. Not only that, it really hadn't affected everybody in California yet, even though Theophilus was in office. The people out in California and in the U.S., the 12 churches that were here, all knew that this thing was wrong. Every one of those priests knew. But eventually and very slowly, they were taken in either by the Greek church or the Greek church took some, and Rocor took a couple of churches, including a good priest friend of mine. He ended up going with Rocor because after what happened to Irinaeus, he wouldn't go to Bartholomew, the Greek church. He didn't want to go to the Greek church. So
who didn't want to go to the Greek church?
My friend, the last guy to leave to switch over to another patriarch.
And are there any still that are under Theophilus in the States now?
No, actually what happened was after everything was settled and the three governments accepted Theophilus as the new patriarch, I think this was like in 2009, I think. It took that long. After all of that, then what happened was Theophilus was able to carry on like he should. And also he gave those 12 churches to Bartholomew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at that time, if you hadn't changed churches, you were going to be with Bartholomew.
Interesting. And what does that? How does that leave you though? I mean, this is sort of like a limbo state, with.
Yeah, I'm sort of exiled.
You're exiled.
I'm outside. I talk to priests, but when I see another priest or a new priest at a festival or something, they know who I am, but and they know if they're talking to me, they're going to get in trouble.
Right.
So
are you still serving? Do you have a parish or?
Yeah, I have a small little church that I serve my family and other people that want to come. but it's nothing like I'm semi-retired mainly because of my heart now. But
And who would be your bishop then?
I don't have a bishop. My bishop's dead. It would be Irinaeos.
It'd be Irinaeos. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sort of a sticky thing.
All right. So yeah, that's an interesting situation. What about the was there I remember there's news that President Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and is that the same church property that was sold?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah. So yeah, that's really true. Let me add too, I have not been deposed and I have not been excommunicated. There has been, and I speak out constantly against Patriarch Theophilus, and I have not been in trouble for that at all, which is strange.
Well, it's just interesting. I don't know. Aren't you supposed to have a bishop though, like a living that's alive, or does it pass to someone else, or?
Yeah, no, you should have a bishop. It's you have to be with part of that, but I don't recognize Theophilus, so I'm sort of in this empty space. I won't go to anybody else. Besides, nobody's going to take me. Antioch wouldn't take me.
Okay.
I'm just not going to get to go to anybody else, and I guess I could say I have a bishop, but why do that? I don't have a bishop, so.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I know I should have a bishop though. Yes,
yeah,
I should, but that's not going to happen as long as I'm in the space that I'm in, because I stayed with Irinaeos until he passed away, and then I thought something would be fixed by them, but it isn't. Theophilus is still in power.
So you're just kind of left hanging, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like I don't know. I don't know the canons or whatever. It seems like you would. I don't know if you're able to serve without a blessing from a bishop, though. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, you could make a case about that. Yeah.
All right.
That's really true.
So
as far as moving the embassy. Yeah.
So what's the story behind that?
Well, that's the most interesting part, and I didn't really discover this until just a short time before Patriarch Irinaeos had passed away. But I could not understand how these Greek businessmen, and I really didn't think much about the fact that one of them was CIA and the other guy was, he was a ambassador. That kind of stuff doesn't bug me. I just figured, well, a lot of Greek people are really well known. There's a lot of Greek people here in the United States. I thought they were just, it was just a Greek thing. I mean, I had some of the letters and stuff like that, but it didn't mean a whole lot to me. I couldn't understand why they were doing this thing, and that these people were doing this solely for money, because that's what I thought was going on here. That they were gonna, there must have been some kind of plan. I didn't know what it was. I tried to figure it out, but I couldn't get why Theophilus was brought in there. And Theophilus was so young too that I knew there were other people telling him what to do. That was one of the other things. I knew they were telling him what to do, because I don't think he had the capability by himself to run the patriarchate correctly, and then be involved in this weird conspiracy that I couldn't figure out what it was. So what ended up happening is I kept an eye on I kept an eye on certain things about the patriarch, what was going on at the patriarchate and the compound and the people that worked there and stuff like that by hearing from some of the monks that were there and some of the, the priests that were there, and a deacon friend of mine. And so that lived there all the time. So what happened was, the way this thing played out was that Patriarch Theophilus, with the other guys, had started doing exactly what they accused Irinaeos of, which was selling church property. Okay. Except that nobody knew that Theophilus was taking land that was in Jerusalem and selling it to Israeli developers. And then I figured these guys were going to, do, buildings, a couple of things. I didn't know that what would end up happening is the reason that the U.S. Embassy has not been moved from Tel Aviv for so many years. I mean, through three presidents, even Obama couldn't move it. It wasn't because they didn't want to, it was because they didn't have the land in Jerusalem to be set up to have a U.S. embassy there. Why did the Israelis want the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem? Because it's their capital. And they feel that by having the U.S. move their embassy there meant that was an official act. Okay. That they could count on. Now they could tell everybody, the whole world, Jerusalem is our capital. It's not because we're trying to take it away from the Palestinians. It's because it's our capital. So, anyways, that was a big part of it. So what happened was, then Theophilus started selling off more and more of this property. And I kept getting information of these hotels being built. Their water facilities were being changed around. So, it wasn't the same type that they had before. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the center of the city itself. And then before I knew it, I found out they were moving the embassy, and that was all under, Donald Trump, his first term, and I think they moved it by 2019. But then I found out that was the reason for the selling of the property. They made a deal with the Greek church, not necessarily Jerusalem, but Jerusalem is under the Greek church.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then through that and through the sale of that property that they held, and by the way, the Holy Church, the Jerusalem Church, holds the majority of land in Israel. Most of that belongs to them.
Is that right?
So, yeah, I mean, they own just unbelievable amounts of land. And so then, all of a sudden the embassy is built, and that's all done. And that was after seeing all the information, that's the reason that they did it. They were going to move the embassy, and somebody was going to make money somewhere on it. And I'm sure the church made a lot of money too, Well,
couldn't they have found someone else to sell some property to get the embassy?
Well, they couldn't, because almost all of the property in Jerusalem is owned by the Patriarchate. Wow. And a lot of it's leased out. So when you see other businesses there, they're on these 100-year leases. Okay. That's how it works. But in order to do the embassy, they needed a lot more stuff. So it was a lot more land, and they knew it was going to come from the Patriarchate.
Okay. So this was all, they knew what they wanted to do, and they got what they wanted.
Yeah, they did. They got it moved. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this kind of is relates to another topic that you talk about on X sometimes. I see your posts. I follow you, and you talk about you're one of the voices that is actually in support of Israel in terms of some of their politics and their moves and things that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. A lot of people think, it's either black or white.
Sure.
I started off years and years ago complaining about the oppression I saw the Palestinians under when I was in the Middle East. I'll just give you a simple example up front. The license plates that you get on your car severely limit where you can drive to.
Okay.
You can't, like, if you've got if you live in Jerusalem and you've got a license plate for that's from Jerusalem, you're severely limited to where you can go. You can't drive to the airport if you had to. You can't drive long distances from where you are, or you can be arrested. So that's one of the ways that the Palestinians are controlled. Now, the Israelis, Israeli citizens, the Jews, they have no problem with this. So the way the Palestinians a lot of time get around this is they become cab owners. They own a taxi cab, and they're able to get a license that'll let them drive wherever they want to drive to. So a lot of people have done that, and they've got a second business they can go and work with. So there is oppression of those people. When I'm there and I'm a priest and I'm very respectful of the fact that it's Israel. They don't like me wearing a cross, so I hide my cross while I'm walking down the street when I'm going to the to the Holy Sepulchre or something like that, or to the Patriarch. I cover my cross up because I don't want to make them mad. And the Hasidic Jews, they'll spit on you if you're a priest. They have no problem doing that. In fact, they won't talk to me. It's a funny thing. So there is this oppression that goes on, that's constant. And I know we in the United States couldn't live like that. We'd have a hard time living like that. But these guys, they're used to it. They've been doing it for years and years and years. So, okay, so that being said, and in the 67 war, my extended family in Jerusalem, is in, they were living in Bethlehem at the time. They were killed by the Israelis. So the whole family, the kids, everybody. At insult to injury, they took the money out of their account, took the money, and took the business from them too, and the property. So I saw that. I saw what my grandparents went through, what, his brothers were over there. He really had a bad reaction. My grandfather didn't show emotion at all, and my grandmother was really upset. So I saw what that does. And I know about this thing where, there is this, they push around the Palestinians a lot. Yeah. On the other hand, what Hamas did was so stupid and brazen, and it injured thousands of Palestinians because of their actions. Sure. In an action that would have never worked, and they must have known that. So, so there's this part of me that I understand why Israel is acting the way Israel is,
certainly you would have heard that Israel most likely allowed the attacks to happen to justify their.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
Yeah, I don't think. If you think about that sensibly, that's like saying, okay, we'll let a couple thousand people die so we can get into a war with Hamas. I don't think Israel's ever had a problem with getting into a war with Hamas.
Well,
If
they can
don't go after
justify it.
Hamas, they just do it, you know.
It gives them a justification, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
even though I guess the international community still does not feel that it is justified what they're doing in Gaza. They're just killing everybody, taking the land. That's what they wanted to do. In any case, I mean, it's what you call a false flag. Certainly, you're aware of what that is, working in intelligence. And it kind of gave them exactly what they wanted, what they needed, you know.
It would have if that's what they did. I'm not sure that's what happened. You know, I just you know, I was hoping the war was completely over now. So,
but it seems to be not, right? It seems.
Yeah. You can you can always look toward you know, I mean, Israel for doing stuff like that. It's just, you know, the thing, one of the things that really bugs me is that, you know, the Palestinian people really had the ears of everybody before this war started. Yeah. Man, a lot of people were on the side of Palestine. They were already talking about it. They were upset because of the stuff that they'd heard. And then Hamas pulled that thing. And it was like, really such a dangerous thing to do and such a bad thing to do. And attacking citizens, too, was a bad thing.
But in general, as a country, a democracy in the Middle East, how do you feel about Israel's presence there? I mean, you feel it's,
you know something? I'll tell you something about that too. I would rather have Israel controlling that section with the holy sites and everything than I would Islam, because Islam will take it and destroy it eventually, just like it did the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. You know, they do the same exact thing to our holy sites, to our churches, to our remaining patriarchate there. Look at you know, the Greek Orthodox Church in Turkey. There's 10,000. That's it, 10,000 people. That's how many people in that whole country. You know, they've killed off that entire population, not literally, but they've all left. You know, they've gone to Greece or gone to other countries. You know.
Yeah, so it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm telling you, as far as areas of the world that is so rife with problems, different problems, so many different things. It's the Middle East, you know. Right. You can look one direction, something's going on here. You look towards Syria, look what's going on in Syria, you know. And Jordan's got another thing going on, Hezbollah in Lebanon. You know, you've got all these different points, and then you've got the Jews right in the center of it, you know. Right. You know, makes it really tough.
So you spoke a little bit about the persecution of Christians in Israel. How about in Jerusalem? How about in the Holy Land, or in the Middle East in general? Like, how are Christians faring? What do you see?
We're doing better now, but they still have, you know, the same incidents in most of these countries of Christians being hurt or them losing their churches because of their faith. So, you know, sometimes we're looking at it, and other times we don't even see it on the news. But so many of the countries that, and our, you know, we have to understand too, and if just talking about the Middle East, not Northern Africa, there's less than 2% Christianity, and that's Christianity in total. That's Protestants, that's Roman Catholics, and that's Orthodox, and the Monophysites, and you know, so it's all those people. It's 2%. That's all of the whole population. So most of the population is Muslim, and so you know, there's this essential problem where not so much as a group, but as individuals being injured by, crazy people. The Christians are still being eliminated in the Middle East. And I mean, it's down. I think in Israel, it's 1.8% now.
And probably dropping.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And what about Northern Africa? How are things there?
Northern Africa, they have a few more, like with Egypt, they have a bigger Christian population, more like maybe 8%, 9% in their countries. So it's not as bad, but they still suffer from terrorist things in their country, and it's because they're so spread out. They can't be everywhere all the time. So they suffer in certain places. Libya, other countries like that have Christian populations too, that they're often sacrificed for the better good of the Muslim population.
So what can be done? What can we do? What is the solution to this problem?
I think our biggest solution is people talking about what's expected in these countries, and we have to pay attention to the Christian population. You just have to. You can't just ignore them because they're not in your country. Right. I mean, everybody's important, and if we're aware of what's going on, we can help people by being aware. Okay. This is the most important thing. And of course, prayer, and man, when I say pray, I mean pray all the time about this, because this thing of ending Christians, wanting to get rid of Christians, that's been going on for years, and it's going to go on for a million more, It's
right.
Not end. Right. And we're all part of that war. We have to take action. And if you're not able to help in certain ways and tell people what you think is going on in these countries, which is genocide, then pray, man, pray. That's the thing all of us can do and pray all the time, day after day, over the same thing.
All right. Yeah, it seems to me, maybe it seems a little far removed to me because I have never been there. And so it's not really part of my consciousness yet, but I see what you're saying. I'd like to, I'm lazy in prayer, but I need to, we all need to pray more. And so it's good to know what's going on there, that our brothers and sisters are being persecuted. And
the kids in Jerusalem, they put crosses on the inside of their wrist, so the child can't deny his faith.
Oh, like a tattoo?
Yeah, it's a tattoo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's a real battle. So.
All right. Thank you for those words. Another battle that you take up sometimes on Twitter, which is, I think Twitter is kind of a war zone. It's a battlefield.
It is, man. It
definitely really is. Yeah. So bless you for taking to, I mean, we need priests there. I think they get attacked, and I try not to personally attack clergy publicly. But so it's good to have, but they're going to. But you have some critiques of what's going on on Twitter and the in the orthosphere, the manner in which we are spreading the faith, where people are using the internet to spread the faith. What do you think is a good approach? Like, we're here, we're a small minority Orthodox in America. How should we be approaching other Christians and people who are non-Christians online and in our interactions with people?
Yeah.
What do you feel is a good way to evangelize?
I think in a very soft way, I don't think the debating thing is really a good thing. Unless, the subject you're debating about between like Roman Catholic and Orthodox, or Roman Catholic or Protestant, those things. I think that maybe the subject is okay. You know, if you pick a subject, it's not going to get too brutal. But the thing of attacking Roman Catholics, the thing of attacking Protestants and stuff like that, is sort of counterproductive, because what we're trying to do is evangelize the faith when we're online. We're trying to talk about how cool Orthodoxy is. You'd like being here, man. It's a great feeling. And once you get used to the church and going in there, it's like your second home. You want to be in there. You're looking at all the icons. Your kids aren't busy running around the place because they're looking at the icons too. They're seeing how beautiful everything is in there. The stories that the icons tell each person that's in there.
The inner life too.
Yes, absolutely, because that's part of all of us. This is what we're striving for.
Right.
Is getting closer to God. So. This is the thing I'm more looking for, not so much the debate process and this viciousness of the debate, because those Roman Catholics you're talking to so harshly, I'm not saying you, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about, other guys that do this, it's just, it's counterproductive, because all these Catholics are listening to this too, going, wow, those guys are really mean, because if you're smart, if you understand the Bible and you're speaking it properly to your opponent, and you beat him at that, but you're abusive while you're doing it, or you say, if you shut up, it'll help, if you're doing stuff like that, then people look at Orthodox and go, yeah, those guys are smart, but at the same time, I don't think I want to be doing that, So you don't want to push them away. Those are the people you're evangelizing.
Right.
I
mean, some people, there is a certain crowd that likes that, but they're probably, probably not necessarily. There might be third-party bystanders just watching, not involved in the debate.
There you go. That's it exactly. A lot of times. Two, also, the thing online of when you talk, you speak with such authority. Well, nobody can tell who you are when you're online. That's hard to tell who the person is, or their background, or what they've got. If they're saying the wrong thing about Orthodoxy, it can really harm people that are looking for faith. They're chasing it down. There's something in their heart they're looking for. Well, we want them to find the true truth. We want them to find Orthodoxy. That's what we want.
Yeah, you have to represent the faith faithfully. I mean, I know I've made I might make a small error, and I'll repent of that. Maybe I say something that's not. It's not 100, maybe it's 95% correct or something. You have to know the faith pretty well to be able to represent it faithfully.
Yeah.
So
I think I listen to your stuff. I think you use a lot of compassion when you talk. You're very Orthodox already. So
yeah, thank you.
I think you do a great job. And when you talk to people, you talk to them respectfully. That's such an important thing. I don't think we need. I know all of us can get really angry, and we can really say some terrible things. But it's not necessary when you're doing this, and when you have an audience. That's the most important reason for not doing that. It's like it's like firing a gun into a crowd. You're going to hit somebody innocent. You don't want to do that. So
I think there is definitely repercussions for all this. Somebody says something bad about someone, and then someone else sees it, and then they don't like that person. It's just
exactly.
There's a lot of real world implications to what is said and done online, and a lot of it is negative that you don't necessarily know. God will judge all this, but
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that you are actually usually you seem to be soft. You're soft spoken as I'm speaking to you now. And I think when I see you on X, generally it seems that you're soft spoken, somehow, which is hard to do in text, but
Yeah.
So I appreciate that about the way of your approach.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's most. I think we've covered most of what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more question, which is a question I give to clergy, and just would you leave us with a word of advice, a word to live by?
Yeah.
Any topic you like.
I will. I'll say, when you pray, ask God for angels to protect you and your family.
Okay.
I'll also say, these are simple things, but I'll tell you that at dusk is the time for you to pray. I mean, I really think that's the most important time of the day. And as a man leading a household, or just you got your own place and stuff like that, you're the priest of the house. So your job is to pray for yourself and for those around you. And you got to do that daily. Okay. And dusk is sort of like, I look at it like tag team wrestling, So when dusk comes along, you've got angels that are protecting you already during the day. When dusk hits, they got to change out to the other team,
Oh.
So each new day is at dusk. And this new day, you've got to ask God for those angels, and you've got to be able to pray for people a lot, not just one or two times, like the thing about the prayer thing, vain repetitions. Well, we're not talking about vanity here, but what God is okay with is the repetition, not to leave the vanity alone, but repetition is smart for all of us when we pray. It's really an important point, so pray over and over for that person.
Thank you for that word of advice. Is there anything you would like to plug, social media, website, anything like that? I can put
now,
it
be careful around I tell everybody, be careful around X.
Okay, be careful around X. All right. Well, nothing to plug for you?
No.
Nothing? All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'll get this uploaded. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Thank you.